right, big dub today. You got to break the streak. Now where do you go from here?
Do it again tomorrow.
That's an easy one. That's way too easy. All right, but one of the big talking points we've talked to all your teammates was aero push. Did you experience that, and how do you combat that? Is it just qualifying better than everybody else?
No, not for sure, but the aero push happens whenever you're behind someone. So when Ryan was in front of me, I was pushing. When Nate was in front of me, the car was pushing. So that's why I had to get in front of them, just to keep the front tires good.
It seems like you got in Ryan's head, not necessarily got in his head a little bit, but I think he's going to be gunning for you tomorrow. Are you ready for that assault?
Probably. I'm going to have to change how I'm driving him for tomorrow because he knows what I did today.
There's a few things on chassis we need to work on. We talked about it, after the race and post-race interview, but the aero wash was pretty major, and so that's something that I should have probably taken into account a little bit more. I was getting in the pre-final, and I thought that it would just magically go away in the final, and it didn't. And so that was something that really hurt me. And then just a few other setup stuff. Hayden definitely has an edge on everybody right now, and so trying to figure out where that is. We're going to go over data. Luckily, he's my teammate, so I can see where he's faster. But just kind of figure out where that edge is and, tune for that tomorrow.
Tell me a little bit about that dynamic. There was at one point there was 4 of your teammates running all in the lead pack. I mean, how difficult is that, knowing that they have the same access to the data that you do when you have to battle them for a win?
Well, it's a challenge because obviously, I'm racing these guys, but I'm also their coach. And so, after the race, I went up to Hayden and was like, as a coach, you drove killer. I'm really happy with that. As a competitor, I'm upset, because I wanted to win. But like I said, Hayden drove really well, and I'm really happy for him and the team and everything. And like I said, we were 1, 2, 3, 4 at a point. I wish we could have ended 1, 2, 3, 4. That didn't happen. But yeah, it's an interesting dynamic because everybody here wants to win. Everybody has the same right to the racetrack that we all do. But it's managing, the relations, how it's going to work, who's in what points for the championship, and there's a lot of risk and a lot of reward, and you got to balance that.
Yeah, we started off with qualifying. I was feeling confident. We had some good speed in the warm-up, and in quali it was looking good. Had a good initial lap, but we only get 3 laps, and there was an issue with somebody dropping some radiator water in one of the hairpins, and it made us go off the track, got some dirt on the tires, and that was the end of our quali effort. So I think we were like P14. Pre-final, had a good start, had a pretty good race, to be honest. Kart was rolling, had some good consistency, was able to break away from a pack and was knocking on the door of the back of the top 10. Last lap, lost the position, but we still finished like 11th or 12th. And then in the final, similar thing, just some racing errors didn't go our way, battling hard with Kremers and Eves and my teammate, Ollie. Just need to fine-tune a few things on myself, on the kart. It's my first time racing back in karts again for a while, so how the racing is aggressive and stuff, I've got to rescale myself for that. But another night's sleep and another full event tomorrow, feeling good for it.
All right, P3 today, but an additional challenge for you. Tell us a little about your little medical emergency there.
Yeah, last night I had a pretty bad stomach thing. Got to bed at about 5:30 in the morning, so didn't go out for morning warm-up and just sent it throughout the day.
And to get 3rd place, not to use a pun, but you really gutted it out there. Tell me about getting up there and especially challenging these guys, because that's really difficult.
Yeah, there's 4 of them and 1 of me, so I was going to a war trying to win, but it's really weird. Usually we're faster in KA, but it's flipped this weekend.
So when you go to war tomorrow, what can you do to knock these guys off?
Just try to shuffle them back, but there's so many of them, it's going to take a lot, but hopefully I can get something done.
Yeah, I don't really think it was that tough, but I feel like I pushed the limit on everything I could have, and at the end of the day, we still fall a little bit short. It gets a little frustrating out there, but you just gotta try and keep your mind clear. It seemed like we were coming to catch up a little bit once they started battling, but then they got back in the line, and it was kind of game over. I feel like we're missing just a little bit still. I feel like compared to the pre-final, it was the kart, chassis, motor, everything was better, just missing a little bit, and we got to find it.
So you haven't found it yet? Do you have any kind of a lead on where the deficiency is to the leaders?
Oh yeah, 100%. It's right in the motor. Right in the motor. We, when it comes down to straight line speed, we just don't have what they have, and I'm not, obviously I don't know what they're doing, because if I did, then I would do it, but, So they have something figured out that, none of us or really any of the rest of the field knows. But we're going to try and, put our heads down and try and find it eventually.
Yeah, it's really been a difficult weekend. It's just, it's been difficult to get on top of the track, I think. And, we've kind of chased our tail around going, this way, that way. And, ultimately, I think that we might just have one underlying problem, so we're trying to fix that right now. It's been weird because it seems like one session I might be quick, and then the next session it's like, not the best. So, we've tried a lot of things, and I think we're just probably going to keep it simple for tomorrow and try to go back to the basics and just make sure everything is right. So, pretty big changes overnight, so I hope it pays off tomorrow.
One of the big things we talk about in racing all the time is data, data, data. Your single car operation here, there are so many other teams that are expansive. How much of a difficult climb is that for you guys here at MPG to try to get anywhere close to the guys who have 3 or 4 different setups they can run at any one time?
It's difficult, but I think, obviously we share some information with some of the other people that are on the same manufacturer as us. So it's not impossible, and we've got some really good minds behind it. So, it's obviously a little bit tougher when you don't have, 4 or 5 go-karts in it. But, if you have the knowledge and you have the experience, there's no reason why you can't do it as a one-car team. So, it helps to have some other people that are, sharing some information with us. But ultimately, it's just really working on our own program, not thinking too much about what everyone else is doing, and just if we fix our problem, then we'll get to the front.
Realistic expectation for a finish tomorrow?
I mean, always, I think it's realistic. I think if we have a great day tomorrow, we can get on the podium, and I would be really happy with the top 5. But yeah, I know. I think karting is just so interesting because you can be just a little bit off, and it's just such a massive amount, So that's really the tough thing. We could be at any point when we're like a 10th or 2 off. It could just be one small change that gives us that last little bit of time. So we're always really looking for just that last little bit. But yeah, it's all good.
All right, Nate, you were fast today, but not quite fast enough. I mean, it was an amazing battle between you and all of your teammates up at the front. What do you have to do to be the first guy across the finish line tomorrow?
Get my qualifying lap in. I think that's what really ruined it today. Maybe we could have won the pre-final, but just being in front I think helped quite a lot, and you could see how they were racing us today. Everyone wanted to be in front. Being in front was the place to be, so if I can do that tomorrow, I think we'll have a better shot. And I'm sorry, I had a little bit of a pushback on the start, which got overturned, so I couldn't really avoid that there, and that was really affecting my kart today, so yeah, it'll be better tomorrow.
One of the things that Ryan was talking about was aero push. I imagine that's what you were alluding to about qualifying better. How do you get that lap in tomorrow? And if you don't, how do you deal with that aero push to win a race?
I was able to get up front when we were racing today. It was just constantly passing back and passing back and passing back. So got to find a way to, if I can get that lap in tomorrow, I think I'll be able to maybe stay in front, especially if some racing happens behind me like it was happening today. If not, just got to work way forward and do better than I did today.
It was all right. Started out pretty quick in qualifying, had a mistake on the fast lap, but after that pre-final, just bad start, bad positioning, and then just went down from there and put my head down in the final, and I was able to climb back up to 13. So overall, not too bad. Not great for the championship, obviously. I was fighting for maybe a top 5, even though I was in the 8th. But hopefully tomorrow could be better. We'll see. You're making some big adjustments, throwing everything we got at it to make it fast.
So how do you improve that consistency? It sounds like a bit of consistency, a bit of setup. How do you maximize that tomorrow? All those elements.
I think I just got to focus, just put down clean laps every lap, and just stop making mistakes as much as I've been making this weekend. So I think we've got hopefully a fast go-kart. Just try to get some results for it tomorrow.
What sort of a result would make you happy tomorrow leaving here?
I'll be fine. Just the way this weekend's gone, I'll be fine with the top 10 anywhere, but I would be really happy with the top 5 or even a podium.
No, a little bit unlucky in qualifying when Wes lost the water tube. That ruined a lap for me, so I only got 11th there. Pre-final was pretty good. I got up to 6th, so I knew I was in for a shout in the final. And then we decided to make a change before the final to try and get that little extra speed that we were missing, and ended up going the wrong way, I think, which cost me a lot of time in the beginning, especially of the race. Once I figured out the carburation after that, I had decent speed, decent enough to stick with the guys that I was with, but not to catch up to the front anymore. So yeah, big shame of that, but luckily we've got tomorrow to catch up again.
And is it going to be totally dependent on qualifying tomorrow? I know dirty air's been a bit of a talking point with some of the other drivers.
No, I don't think it'll be dependent on qualifying just itself. Somebody needs to be fast other than the RPG guys to mix it up a little bit, and then if they mix it up a little bit, I'm sure it's going to be a big fight for first. So as long as you're in the top 10 or thereabouts, you should be fine.
And we're counting on you to be the one to mix it up, okay?
I hope so. If I find a little bit more speed overnight, I'm sure I will.
Evaluation, qualifying, we had one lap at it. Certainly wasn't the best go at that one lap, and then chain of events, someone dropped some water. So not ideal, but I mean, some people did a good job with just the one lap, so you can't cry too much about that. I think the kart was handling pretty well in the final, so I had nose in on lap 1, which is always disappointing as a driver. Kind of takes the wind out of your sails, so to speak, a little. But the kart was handling well. Seemed to have identified something on the data that's not right in the engine department in a straight line. So I never think that's a huge amount of time, but it does make the racing a bit easier. So I think it's put on the backup piece there and look for a tidy day tomorrow. I think realistically, are we going to have speed to feature at the front of the race? No, not unless everyone's tripping over each other. But with a tidy day, I hope to be able to get that kart somewhere towards the front.
For tomorrow, we're still looking. We are fast in the pre-final. I did purple, and then we try something for the final and not work. But I mean, I think we're gonna come back for tomorrow, like the setup, like the carb, you know, the engine, and I mean, I try my best for tomorrow. Then I hope I can get top 3 tomorrow, because the chassis looks fine. The engine, the pre-final was like perfect, but we missed a little bit in the final, and we need to find where.
It looks like those RPG guys are just so strong. How do you get in between them and mix it up a little bit with them?
If they give his engine, maybe I can try, you know. But I mean, they are like playing, like you can do nothing. But we are like getting a little bit, and I think tomorrow we will be there.
It was a tough day. We started out decent, qualified P6, and then throughout the day just struggled with a little bit. Rear end was a little tight throughout the day, so we're just working on that. This is definitely the most gripped up track I've ever raced the Kart Republic on. So it's learning process. We have some plans for tomorrow that I think will work out pretty well.
So I guess you're kind of considered a privateer, especially looking at the size of your equipment versus a lot of the other teams. I mean, how difficult is it to fight some of those big teams and run up front like you have?
I think the main issue is data. Like, they have so many data points they can go off. They can do 10 different setups in one run, and I'm stuck doing one at a time. And I think that's the main thing. And they were here like RPG and stuff like that. A lot of teams were here last weekend. I was at another race at Barnesville, Georgia. So I wasn't able to practice last weekend, so just coming in a little behind them and trying to catch up.
So how do you catch up for tomorrow?
Hope my setup works in the morning. That's my hope.